direction. Just look around and find at least something good. All you need will come to you. I'll never end your stare.
Welcome back to Two Canadians at Kafe Lise, a bigger podcast. I'm Dr. Anton, and with me is DJ Spencer.
Hey everyone.
And this is episode 4. And we're recording this a little bit early because the day this is being released is just after Boxing Day, so right around the Christmas holiday. So we're recording this a week before, actually. It's the 19th of December right now. And we figured we'd get just a quick little episode put together so we have something to release right after Boxing Day, and then we'll keep to our regular schedule for the following episodes. So this one's going to be a little special. It's going to be like a series, I guess, that we'll do interchangeably with some of the other types of things we'll talk about. But this is going to be a breakdown of a map. So we're starting with the newest one that's come out from this season, which is Anikken, and not Anikken as in you were the chosen one, but Anikken as in Anikken. So a little bit different spelling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
It's a really interesting map. It's a map that's made up of a couple little maps that they had that they use for their eliminations game mode. So if you ever play eliminations, you'll see that these locations, and there's, I think, is it 2 or 3 maps for eliminations that comprise this map.
It's at least 3.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's at least 3 maps. So in eliminations, they'll cycle you between 3 different maps that all take place and on this big larger map that they sort of took those 3, built some extra connective tissue around them, and then turned them into this map, which was kind of cool, really cool actually. It's a neat little map. DJ spends a lot more time on it than I do. I played mostly duos on it, but DJ will go in solos a lot more. And it's really neat. It has about as we're looking at it, it has 9 points of interest, and we'll talk a little bit about maybe not in depth about each point, but we'll mention the different points of interest. Yeah, and it's a very kind of open map too. Like there are a lot of hills and valleys in it, but it can be a sort of a sniper haven, or heaven, or whatever you want to call it. Similar in ways to Felcanton, which at some point we'll break down as well. Yeah, go ahead.
The elevation's not as much as it doesn't vary as much as FJ either. It's a lot flatter, but yeah, you're right. There are like dips and valleys in it, and I kind of like that about it. Is like it's a small there's small variances compared to FJ.
Yeah. Definitely. So. And there's one location when we get to it that pretty much has almost full view of the map. Not entirely, because you can hide from it, but if you're at this location, you'll have a good run of the whole map. Mostly, you'll be able to see a lot of people running around for sure. But yeah, I guess starting near the top is a little location that we pretty much just refer to it as Shanty Town. What's that location like?
Well, there's a few, I guess you could say, burnt buildings, whatnot. There's a little bit of loot. I think you mostly get chemicals and some fertilizer and a little bit of fuel. And on your way out, you could hit up like one of those transformer boxes where you get electricals.
Okay. Yep.
Aside from that, there's not a whole lot. Yeah. There are 2 spawn points near there. So there's one that's kind of just to the, if you're looking at it on the map, it's slightly to the top right of it. And then the other one's basically just to the right of the exit.
Yeah. And there's an exit right close to it as well. We should mention there's only
Exactly.
4 exits on this map. It's the map with the least amount of exits. And yeah, one of them is at this top. It's not far from this very top point of interest. It's just sort of to the left of it, and there, that's one of the 4 exits.
Yeah.
Uh,
So that's one thing you want to watch out if you ever do spawn near there. There's a few spawn locations on this map that like you're literally like within 200 meters of
yeah,
someone, compared to some other maps where like you may be like 300 meters, 400 meters, 500 meters. Like I'm thinking
hmm
Grontheim, where someone's literally on the other side of the river that goes through the whole
yeah,
map, right? So uh, it's very different where you can be either engaged or engage someone else fairly
yeah,
quickly.
and it's very reminiscent of the battery maps. And the reason I say that, it when you're looking at the map, it might seem like it's a bigger map, but it's not. It's a small map, and that hence it only has the 4 exits. Not Granthime, batteries, they have 5 exits, so they may have one more exit, but 2 of those exits are real close to each other on battery. But you can run from one end of battery to the other fairly quickly. Batteries may be a little longer going north to south when you're using the map as the top being north, and made a little narrower. Whereas this one's maybe a little bit more spread out evenly, I guess you could say. Like going east to west or north to south is probably very similar in this map. I would say.
Yeah, they're all in the corners.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And then so that was the what we call the shanty village, and the reason we call it that is we can't pronounce the actual name of it. It starts with an H. That's all I can say. um,
yeah,
yeah, but
exactly.
just south of that one, just down a little bit on the same island mass, is the fisherman's village, and that's a little bit bigger. I've been to that one a few times myself. It has several huts. I think like houses, I guess you could say, or huts, and I think and maybe some drying. I think they might have some of those, fish drying
Yes.
stands. Yeah,
Yeah. So you have like a couple of sheds there. There's like I guess you could call it almost like a workshop building, and then there's like an actual
yeah,
house. And the house usually, well, not usually, but sometimes does have a time safe right now. Um, at this location too, you'll find like a signal tower sometimes. I believe the disruptor is near there too as well. Sometimes, and there's a comm station too that spawns near there at that location, and then there's another one kind of between there and Shantytown as
yeah.
well
And the
nearby.
map I'm using as a reference right now, and I might, if I can, take some screenshots of the map and throw it into the video as we go here. So you may see pop-ups of this map that we're talking about. In this particular instance, there was a comm station both at the fisherman village and in between fisherman and the little shanty town we're talking about.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, it's like I know what I'm talking about.
Hey, you've been here enough. You should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much it for that location. There's some decent loot there. If anyone's looking for vinyls, I know the house itself, sometimes in one of the rooms on the main floor, you could find a vinyl record. Um, if anyone's still looking for
Yeah.
those.
Well, definitely
Um,
PS4 players should
but
be.
yes, oh
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Okay. That's good.
So yeah, that's pretty much it for
Yeah.
that one.
And then as we go to the center of the map, um, actually, I guess maybe we should touch a little bit on the cargo ship since it's also up. It's a point of interest that's in the northern part of the map, and it's to the right of the fisherman's village. There's this big cargo ship that's sort of run aground right there, and you can run
Yeah.
right through that ship from one side to the other. It's broken in the middle, and typically you can find there's definitely loot around there. There's also a potential red box for an airdrop can spawn on there, but it's sort of up on a level, so it's not the easiest to get to if it does spawn there. Um, and I know it also spawned some other stuff, I believe, right?
Yes. So there's one of the blue locked
Mm.
boxes. Uh, there's one container that's like the highest in that whole area. That one, that holds a lock box, one of the blue ones. However, at this time, it's currently bugged,
Oh, I didn't know that.
so you can't actually interact with it. Um,
It seems that
yeah,
the
there's a
cargo
couple
ship
issues.
is a little bugged in a few ways. It's kind of strange.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's one of the many
Yeah.
features of the cargo
Yeah,
ship, I
for sure.
guess. There, the cargo ship could also have a barred house, which is kind of interesting because it's a barred house within a
Yeah.
container, which is really neat because it's you have one end where it's a giant door, and then the other way it's a tiny little door where you actually have to crawl through.
Yeah, so there's only 2 points of
Uh,
entrance. And like you said, and the
yes,
smaller one where you have to crawl through, and so you have to do the standard thing with the barred house where you have to spend time opening it. I don't know if it takes a lot. Like with normal doors, there's usually what 5 or 6 times you have to interact with it.
it yeah, I think it's for the small opening, I believe it's
Just two
two.
times. Okay,
Yeah, it's two or three. It's a lot less than the
right,
other
like more
ones.
like a window, I guess.
And then
Yeah,
the big, yeah, exactly. Um, so that safe, the Bard House safe is your typical Bard House safe. Uh, for myself, like if I'm going to a Bard House, I'd never stay next to the safe. I usually move around. I If I'm in a room with the Bard safe, I want to be able to like get out of there in a moment's notice. So that's why you'll never catch me like literally
sitting
sitting
there
there.
just waiting. Yeah,
Um, yeah, and so there's a lot of places to hide too. So you may see people kind of like waiting, trying to find someone, stumbling across the safe, and because there's so many containers, there's nooks and crannies
right.
everywhere. There's high
Yeah,
ground, low ground, lots of places to hide. Um, and now you could also find the time safe in the cargo ship. However, this um, one of the switches is typically up against the hull of the ship, and that one there right now is currently bugged, so you can't activate that switch,
okay.
unfortunately. So there's no way of actually getting to that time safe.
Okay, so to be wary, if you ever see the time safe
Yeah,
there, um, at some point they're probably going to fix it. So depending on
yes,
when this is, if it's a new season or well, they've already done a patch this season. It was pretty quick. They did a patch, so I don't see it really being fixed until probably next season. So if you see the time safe there during season um, 6, it's season 6, right? Yeah, it is. Okay,
yeah,
during season 6,
yeah.
you're probably safe to not go for it, just
Yeah.
because it's not going to work.
How You know what though, Doc? I was just thinking about it because we're probably going to get an update once the holidays are over, because they did announce that they're going to be rotating the time safe, the lock container, and Bard House
Yeah,
once the holidays are done, where they're going to rotate and only one of them is going to be within a map unless the resources are
right.
boosted. So maybe, like, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but maybe there's a chance that they will have a fix for that at that point. I don't
Maybe
know.
that's true.
I'm just throwing that
Yeah.
out there.
Oh, yeah, it's always it doesn't hurt to. I guess it depends on your situation. If you're going to go check it out, always be wary because there's a lot of places people can camp in that area. So
Yeah,
um, yeah, so
exactly.
just be careful. Yeah,
And actually, talking about the, I guess, I don't know what you would technically call them, like the time safe and the Bard House, but lock container is not featured on this map.
the big locked container. Yeah, so it looks like
Yeah,
like a standard shipping container. I Yeah, I don't know if it's the same size as the other containers you see on in the ship and such. Um, I think it might be
yeah,
a little bit bigger. But yes, on the other maps, if you've been playing this game for a while, there's that big lock container has 3 combination locks to open. Yeah, not featured on this map at this time, anyways. So maybe it'll enter rotation when they decide to do that. I'm kind of curious, or maybe they've
Yeah.
chosen not to have it on this map at all, just because it's so big. Maybe they figured that it wouldn't fit well in the map. I don't know. It'd be kind of curious.
Yeah, I'd be curious to find out why.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Because I don't think they've ever actually mentioned anything about it.
No, no. Okay, so let's move on from the cargo ship, and then if we stay to the northern part of the map and go all the way to the east side of the map to the right on the
Yeah.
there is another area called the Craftsman Village. So it's another area that has a bunch of buildings. It also has an exit right next to it, so right above it, I guess you could say, and the exit sort of around a um, what do they call that? Like an inlet or something, right? Like yeah,
Yeah. I was thinking
inlet. Yeah. So you have the town, and then around it's like a little inlet, and then that's where the exit is. And I think the exit's also potentially by some ships. I don't know, but yeah,
Yeah, there's a ship, I
yeah.
believe. And that one has your standard, buildings where like you have the workshops, and I think there's one house. There's a couple of sheds as well. There is um, one like a small shed that actually has a barred house in it,
Hmm.
um, which is there. It's kind of like in the towards the bottom right of that
Yeah, and in
village.
my little
If
picture
you're
that I'll
looking
put
at it
up,
on the map.
the barred house is there.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect. Uh, I know sometimes there's a disruptor tower kind of in that vicinity as well. And then there's kind of a comm station between cargo ship and that location as
Okay.
well.
So sometimes there can
Um,
be a comm station near there.
yeah, I think yeah, it's kind of like there's like a fork in the road,
Yep.
and it's almost like on a bench, I
Okay.
believe. So that's where like some locations can be. Um, and then if like it's not an actual named location or POI on the map. But if you go down like if, a bit more, there's a little shed.
Okay.
Uh, like if I'm looking at the coordinates, it's like the bottom of
Right.
H5.
Yeah.
Uh, you could get signal tower there, and there's a lot of like fertilizer and I believe chemicals as well. Um, if anyone's looking for those types of resources. Now, on this section of the map, there's quite a few spawn points. Like there's one on the southern point of that portion of the map.
Close to the wall. Yeah.
There's one close to the village, and then I believe there's one kind of towards the cargo ship too,
Okay.
but I'm not 100% sure about
Right.
that one. So, again, like your initial fights might be sooner rather than later.
Yeah. If almost anywhere on this map, you're going to be close to somebody, like not far, or within a short jog to find somebody if you really are looking for them. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Like where I took this screenshot from, I went into the game, and you can see where my person started, and it's like almost in the center of the map. It's like this little island that doesn't really have, well, it has where I started. It's not a named area, but it's just south of the fisherman's village, and a bit north and west of what's called Siri Town, which is the next one we'll talk about. But I started in this little right in the middle, and it has like a little valley right in the middle. So it's like rocks or whatever,
Hmm.
and in the middle of there, you'll find a little tent. There's a diggy hole, like a buried cache that you can find. Sometimes will be the one, and there can also be a red box there too, which I found. Like on this particular, when I took this screenshot, there was a red box that had an airdrop in it. So it's like I started right next to an airdrop. I'm like, okay, great. Now what?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's it's not a named location, but you can start right in the center of things, and then you're like, oh, where do I go from here? Because pretty much any direction you go, you're going to run into somebody because people are starting
Yeah.
all around you. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But the next named location is called Siri Town, and that's the one that's about dead center of the map. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is where the bulk of the buildings are on this map, or at least size
Yeah.
wise. because there's a bunch of long buildings. Um,
There's a
there's like the giant
yeah, the warehouse is
warehouse.
there. Yeah.
So there's a Cafe Lise
Yep. There's a
is
Kafe
there.
Lise.
Uh, so it's like it's a good loot spot. However, it's almost like the Sawmill map where it's the center of everything, and it just seems like whenever I'm on Anikken, there's always shots being fired in or around that area because I guess people are looking for loot. Um, like the time safe Bard House, um, they could be in a lot of those
Yep.
buildings.
There's usually it can be a comm
Like
station there or near there anyways. Yeah.
yes, no, there's one in the
Yeah.
warehouse. Yeah, there's that. A disruptor tower can be there. Um, time safe has been for me anyways in the
Yep.
warehouse and also in Cafe Lise.
That's right.
So uh yeah, there's a lot. If there's anywhere to find loot, that's probably like where you're going to get the bulk of it in like in a small
Right.
area,
Yeah.
or concentrated, I guess I
Yeah.
should say.
And then it's sort of right connected to the next point of interest, which is the island's transit dock. So it's just down and to the east a little bit from that one from Siri is this island's transit dock, and they're almost connected,
Yeah,
pretty close, I think.
yeah. I was actually including the warehouse, which
Oh, that's
is
where that
like
is.
part of that
Okay,
POI.
so those two
Yes.
POIs, they're pretty much they're very interconnected because you can run from one to the other and still have buildings around you and such.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's pretty tight knit. Honestly, like I would have thought it would just be one POI, but
Yeah, for some reason they made it two. Yeah, I don't know, but whatever.
yeah,
Yeah. Now, if we are working our way down the map, to the west of all that is the old man's hut. That's a POI, and that's on a bigger sort of island. Yeah, like I said, sort of to the east, not east, west of all that. There's not a lot on that particular one. It has like basically the old man's hut, and not much else on there. There is some stuff on that island, I guess, to the very far west. Yeah.
yes, yeah. There's a couple of buildings, and Bard House can be in one of
Okay.
them.
Uh,
Uh, and it's kind of like your regular workman shop type
right.
thing,
Right.
like those buildings. One of them usually, well, not usually, but it is one of the potential um, points for Bard
Okay.
House.
Good to know. Yeah, I wasn't aware of
Uh,
that. I didn't realize it could spawn
yeah,
over there.
yeah. The old man hut does have quite a bit of chemicals, or it can have some, because you find like the little single bottle of
Right.
chemicals that have six
Yeah.
or something, and then sometimes you'll find the odd case. And there's the drying rack that has some food
Can
on
sometimes
it.
have food. And if you see snowmen around, check the heads. Sometimes there'll be a carrot, and that counts as food.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. It's kind of funny.
That's pretty funny. It's pretty awesome. I love that. Yeah. Yeah, because there's not a lot to that island. It has the old man hut. It has the couple sheds or whatever on the side, and yeah, and apparently can have the Bard house. That's good to know. I didn't realize that. Um, and then going sort of back. Now we're not going to talk about the bottom one yet. But going all the way back to the southeastern part of the map, so more central, but to the south and to the east is Saint Suzanne Cross, and it's right by an exit. It'd be so for the four exits, it'd be the south east exit, I guess you could say. And yeah, that exit's pretty exposed. So that's quite a few of these exits are pretty exposed. Like the two
Yeah,
on the east for sure are the most exposed ones. So if you're running for one of those exits, you always have to be aware of your surroundings just in case someone's going to try to snipe you.
yeah, yeah. That POI is interesting because it's a POI. There's lacrosse, but there isn't a whole lot
No,
around. Like it's pretty much all
yeah,
open.
there is some loot around
Like
it
you mentioned,
sometimes. Like a
yeah, it's not
No.
much. That one on that island itself, you have pretty much two spawn points that I know of. So you have one pretty much next to the cross, and then there's one kind of like one quadrant over, and they're pretty much close to where there's a signal detector at some
Right.
points in the
Yeah,
game.
quite often a
Um,
signal can go there because, and yeah, there's quite often a few times where you spawned on that same island more to the I guess to the west of it, and then you're running for the signal there because you know someone else is going to be as well. Yeah.
exactly. And then if you look the island to the north of the cross too, there's a spawn point kind of towards that shed we were talking about earlier, um,
Yeah.
towards I guess H4. So there's another. You kind of have like two initial points to like look
Yeah.
for right off the bat.
And yeah, because you know like if
So,
you're near that cross, yeah, you got to pretty much look north and look to your west because that's most likely where people are coming from. Yeah.
yep.
And then the last point of interest on this map is the lighthouse, which is on um, the southwest corner, right? And it has an exit right next to it as well. The exit's a little bit concealed, but not fully. So, you know, you are
Yeah.
concealed from stuff to the east, but to the north, it's a little bit exposed. And even from the lighthouse itself, it's kind of exposed. People at the lighthouse could definitely see you at that exit.
Yeah, for sure. Um, there is a comm station that does spawn within the lighthouse.
Yeah,
Just once you get inside, um, there's an actual house there too on that island. Um, I just don't find there's a whole lot of loot in the whole area. Like that's
yeah,
a little
it
puzzling,
is.
but there I know uh, there's been a lightning troll at the top of the
Oh, I didn't know
lighthouse,
that.
which is one area I have not
Checked yet? Yeah.
been to. I've just seen streams of people up there. Actually, I want to go up there and I want to be able to say, Anikken, I have the high ground.
For sure. Yeah.
But it makes, yeah. Anyways, bad pun, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, but it works.
It works. Um, and then I guess the other thing too to mention is the house on that building is another potential spawn point for vinyl records.
Right. Yeah, if you're looking for vinyl, that's a
So
good place. And the lighthouse itself, this is the one I was talking about. This is the one point of interest where if someone's up on that lighthouse, they have a very good view of the rest of the map. Um, so sometimes you'll be hearing a lot of shots, like single shots coming, and someone's in the lighthouse taking pot shots at somebody else at the map. Anywhere on the map. It's not overly difficult to hide from it, but it's the kind of thing is if you can see the lighthouse, the guy on the lighthouse can see you. So you
yeah,
really have to keep that in mind as you're running around. If
yeah,
someone starts sniping,
yeah, and like that kind of goes back to my, I guess, philosophy is I wouldn't go up there because I want a way to get
yep,
out, and the only way out is jumping if someone's coming up the
yeah, it's either
stairs or
you gotta
fighting.
fight the person coming up the stairs or jump. And if you jump, you're pretty much going to die unless you're full health and you're just lucky enough to catch something on the way down a little bit. I've
Yeah, I
had
don't
things
think.
save me before when I've jumped out of windows and that, and so I didn't take any damage. But yeah, it's most likely you're going to take a lot of damage, if not die. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it for all the POIs. As you mentioned, like the two eastern exits are pretty open. There's a little bit to like kind of duck behind, but you got to be really
yeah,
careful because you're open. Same thing with by the lighthouse. Depending on which direction the people are
yeah.
coming from. Um, that northwest exit by the shanty town, it,
It's probably the most
it can
secure,
be a little
but
yeah, it can be sketchy because the thing is someone could be up top because think of it almost as like a
yeah,
plateau. Someone could be up top and actually drop down a little bit and still be considered outside the exit. And then if someone comes around like around the corner to go to the exit, they could easily be,
Yeah.
killed just coming around the
No,
corner.
that's true.
So uh, all these exits are, you know, vulnerable, I guess, to exit campers, but most exits on pretty much any map, I would
And the
say.
bonus that this map is so small, if someone's exit camping, you know, it doesn't take. If you get close to an exit and you hear the birds, you're not far from another exit. So you could, in theory, run to another exit if you had the time. If it wasn't radiation or
Yeah,
something. And that's another thing. There's a lot of birds in this map. So as you're just running around, you're going to hear seagulls and such making noise. So, and I guess because it's more of a fishing map, I don't know. They've added a lot of seagulls to it, so you might get confused sometimes, thinking the seagulls could be the crows when they're not, but when they're not. So, something to keep in mind.
yeah,
A
yeah,
lot of birds.
yeah. And there's currently like one audio glitch where if you're kind of in the area of, like, I need to kind of reference my
Yep.
map here, kind of like in the area of E6 about roughly. So it's there's a bunch of like broken up sheets of ice.
Oh, right. Yep.
I've had this audio glitch a few times where it's like the bird is on a CD, like the audio track is on a CD, and the CD is skipping nonstop,
Oh
and
boy.
it just keeps going. And it's like, oh boy, and you just kind of got to leave the area, and then eventually it kind of goes away.
Yep.
But and I guess one thing we should talk about this map is how much water
There's a
there
yeah,
is.
because it's
Uh,
all little islands broken up and surrounded. Like there's the big islands. There's like the big island with the ship. There's the big island with the cross at the bottom.
yeah,
But the ship one is the biggest island because it covers a good portion of the map. But to go from island
yeah,
to island, there's a ton of water. You're right, and they give you a lot of ice to run across to go from one location to another. You're fully exposed when you're running across this ice though, and if you go into the
yeah,
water, um, if you don't get out of it fairly quickly, you're going to start taking cold damage. Yeah,
yeah. And this is one of the maps where I think people are more prone to taking that type of damage
yeah,
because it's easy to fall in and stuff like that. Not that it like will really ruin your health, but it does
yeah.
affect
Because
it a
it's
little
not
bit.
really hard to get out of the water because a lot of these
Yeah,
ice ones they've made it so that you can climb back up on them. I know there have been times
yeah,
like where I couldn't climb up on rocks on other maps, and I don't find it as bad on this one. Like I think they've made it so that you can get out of the water fairly easily. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So yeah, no,
But that is Anikken. Yeah, that's our breakdown of Anikken. It is a fun map, and it can be really fun with duos, even on solos. DJ, will play solos quite a bit on it. I'm being visited by a kitty.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah. It's definitely a map where you want to bring some type of range weapon. You don't want something too close range. Like you don't want to really walk in with a shotgun or something like
yeah,
that. Just because if you're going to get engaged by someone, you're going to have to really try hard to close the gap quickly, and that may not be really possible on this map
yeah.
because of the terrain and the openness and stuff like that. So you definitely want to look, maybe not necessarily a sniper, but you definitely want something with some
Yeah,
range. Anyways,
because even an M16 can get a decent range shot out. It
yeah,
might be a little bit harder to use at range because it does have a little bit of bloom, like reticle
yeah,
bloom. But um, people that love taking in SG1s and M21s, and now is it the RK, no, what the RK-74? Which one's that? Um, Whatever the new sniper is,
I believe
or the M74.
is isn't it the ZA
Well, maybe it's a
74?
ZA. You're right. It's a ZA-74. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to remember all these things. They're really popular on
Oh, I
this
know.
map, so you have to be
Yes.
um, cognizant of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers all of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. No, that's it. And that's a good length for this episode. So definitely, thanks for hanging out and listening. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. We appreciate it. If you're listening to the audio only version, thank you for subscribing, and make sure to if you have any comments, throw them our way. Either on the video you can send us comments, or you can tweet to us through the Twitter. We're both on Twitter. I'll put all of our links in the description. But again, thanks for listening. We'll see you out in the Outlands. I'm Dr. Anton.
And I'm DJ Spencer.
And you have a great night, and take care. See you soon.
Bye.